I don't know I could go much further. I'm actually getting kind of scared. So looking off, the waterfall's right down there. Oh boy. What did I get myself into? It's bringing me back to the days of the old abandoned train trestle that I crossed to face my fears, but this one, ties are a bit further apart here. I can't even get over there. I just take my word for it. I can't do it. I gotta get back. At first glance, this looks like a rather peaceful, relaxing, beautiful location. Well, looks are deceiving because a few years ago, police had to shut down this location to the public. But today, we're going to explore it. If you'd like to learn more, all you need to do is come along with me. Today is an absolutely gorgeous day here in November. It's in the upper 60s, partly sunny skies, slight breeze, and it's a perfect day for exploring. So what we have here is a location that is rather well known amongst locals. And if you have been a fan of my channel for a number of years, you may remember seeing a video from here probably going 5 to 6 years ago, if not earlier. And what we're going to do is not only tell you more about what's going on here, tell you why police shut it down, but explore it as well, because we have a really deep pool of water, we have unique rock formations, obviously a train bridge, which holds some history, and who knows what we may find upstream. This location is known simply as the Music Black Bridge. I bet you can't guess how it got that name. Well, obviously because of the train bridge. So there are a few things I do want to share with you. For starters, since I mentioned the train bridge, that train bridge holds some history, because that used to be part of the old Erie Lackawanna Railroad. That may sound familiar because I've done a 5-part series on that railroad, covering different sections of it here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Part 4 I cover starting at Montage Mountain Road, passing Rocky Glen, which is over in that direction, and stopping up there, because this section is actually active and used by R.J. Corman Railroad, formerly Luzerne Susquehanna Railroad. Now, this is not a throughway or a through line. They use this as a backup line for switching to different tracks over in that direction. So trains don't go past this bridge, but I have seen R.J. Corman trains on this bridge to switch tracks to go off to make their deliveries in other areas. Later on, we will get up top and give you some views from up there. But right here we have an amazing pool of water. Not only is it clear and clean water because it actually comes from multiple reservoirs up off Route 502, it's also really deep. So deep that people jump off the train bridge into the water and they don't risk hurting their feet or legs from hitting the bottom. It is a really deep pool of water. but it's also really tricky because it's only a narrow passage of water, so you have to really get your placement exactly right. As to why the police shut this down, there's a few factors for that. I'm actually jumping ahead a little bit. So this location primarily is known as a swimming hole. This has been a popular swimming hole for decades, probably going back to the 70s, if not even earlier. Now, I don't know what this location used to consist of beforehand. The reason I say that is because on the way walking in, there's like a concrete pad or driveway, which either was a road or maybe building foundations. So it looks like something did take place here back in the day, which I don't have any information on at this time. But this has been a popular swimming hole for a long, long time. And I actually came swimming here once. I brought Lily here around the time I made that video, so probably going on 5 to 7 years ago. At that time there was people jumping off the wall, jumping off the bridge, and we were kind of just wading in the water. We had some tubes with us just floating around. We didn't do any jumping. It was our first time here. We didn't know what to expect. And it was a relatively busy day too. There's people here partying, a lot of swimmers. It was a crowded day. And that's where things kind of went downwards from there. So over time, this place became out of control. So much for the fact that police had to get called here regularly due to altercations, people blocking people's driveways with their cars. There's been times there's been over 100 people here. And the area out there that I showed, the concrete pad area, could only hold maybe 12 to 15 cars. So imagine how many cars are here when there's 100 people. So people were parking on the street, blocking driveways. There was altercations, there was fires, there was just a whole lot of negative things taking place, and the police were forced to be called here time and time again. And I guess the residents nearby here had enough, and they said something has to be done. So a few years ago, I think it's anywhere from 2 to 4 years ago, police basically shut down the area. They put signs out there saying no vehicles allowed, and they were patrolling the area. And if people parked there, they either got ticketed or told to leave. And if people were seen swimming here or partying here, again, they either got fined or told to leave. And it became almost non-existent for people coming here for a few years. Now this past summer, people were here swimming. You could see this spot from Route 502. Wasn't crazy busy, but there was at least a handful of people here over the summer. But they were smart about it. They didn't park out there where the cars would be seen. They parked elsewhere and hiked it in. So you can essentially still come here, but they don't want you parking out there. So it's up to you as to how you want to navigate that. I brought my e-bike, locked it up to a tree, so there's no car out there. No reason for me to have any trouble being here today. This is also relatively close to the airport. There's plane number 2. One of the other major contributing factors as the police shutting this place down is the amounts of garbage. Even today, there's still garbage left behind. People were coming here bringing like portable grills, coolers, cases of beer, food, and I've seen pictures where this whole area was just lined and littered with garbage. That's because not only locals were coming here, but non-locals as well. This place has been advertised on websites that have swimming hole locations, and it became really well known over time and also out of control. And you have a major variety of people from different towns, even different states, coming here drinking. You gotta understand that things could get out of control. So there are signs out there now obviously stating no vehicles allowed, but today it's getting back to its more natural state. Now you can see there is a rope that's been there for a long time, basically a rope swing, so people will get up on the upper level there with the rope, swing out and jump in. But as mentioned, people have and do jump from up there, and we'll give you a view topside later on. But right here is what is more fascinating to me. We have the river coming down. I believe this is Roaring Brook, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that. If it's incorrect, I'll put it on the screen. But this is coming down, as I mentioned, from multiple reservoirs up on 502, so it's clean water. But this hole right here, I honestly don't know how deep it goes. And it's also a bit dangerous because the water is coming down it hits this pocket and starts swirling and churning, and it actually makes it rather difficult to sometimes surface or to stay in one area. It wants to push you out and suck you down at the same time. But this water is so deep though that people jump off the bridge and don't touch bottom. And even right here, which is probably not coming through on camera, but this rock face that we're standing on comes out to just inside the water, and then it just drops off. So there's like a cliff here. And I will be getting you guys some underwater footage in just a little bit. I'm hoping the sun does come out. Even right here, it's pretty deep. I can see the bottom. I'm wearing polarized sunglasses. It's probably at least 6 feet deep right here. Easily over 10 feet deep right there. I don't know the distance from the bridge to here. If I was to guesstimate, I'd say between 30 and 40 feet, roughly. So it's a good jump and a good depth of water. But as mentioned, you have a really narrow channel to jump into. If I was to come back here swimming, which I may in the future, I would definitely jump off these walls. Maybe do the rope swing, but no way would I be jumping from up there. Also too, if you look up here at the bridge abutment, you could tell this was a double line bridge. There's only one here in existence, but there's the area where another bridge went right next to this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Not 100% positive, but based on the abutment wall up there, it looks like there is space for another bridge up there. This area, water in general, but this area is rather fascinating. This bedrock here comes out underwater and then slowly dissipates into the water, and then there's bedrock down there, not bedrock, sorry, like river stones. So it does shallow out, obviously, but even right here, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 feet deep and just gets deeper. But I actually really enjoy this area for a few reasons. Not only the rail history right above it, which maybe once a month you might see a train up there, but it's nature right in the middle of a busy area. With up there, I think is the turnpike, if I'm not mistaken, and then Interstate 81's not far behind, and yeah, 81 is down there, turnpike right there, airport to our right. So it's a busy area, but this nice little area is right here nestled in between it, and I never went beyond what we could see here. So we will be going upstream to see what that's like and see if there's anything hiding in plain sight. You can see a stone wall right there above this concrete wall. It's like Ron and Emma were here. Joe, Limp. A lot of carvings into the rock here. Matt and Maria 08. Looks like some concrete work was added. Actually, looking at it here, looks like steps right there. That's interesting. Wonder if that's intentional. It must be. But looks like some concrete work was done to kind of straighten the side here. This water's moving at a pretty good clip as well. See some orange stainage, like iron ore. This is all bedrock. So it's moving down, got the falls, and a deep, deep plunge pool. We're going to navigate upstream here, upriver. Hopefully we can continue on the side here, because it is too deep to cross, at least in this area. But on the way back, we will be venturing up in the woods to get up on top of the bridge. And then hopefully the sun is cooperating and we'll get some underwater footage. I'm always fascinated too, and I love showing these, how trees just adapt to their environment and their location. This tree is basically hanging out over this rock face. Roots are jetting in upwards. And it's a healthy surviving tree, just defying gravity. So strong root holds. You can actually kind of see right through it there. Always amazes me seeing that. Another thing I'm thankful for too, being here this time of year, is that there have been reported snake bites here. People having to get treated from snake bites. I don't know if they're poisonous or non-poisonous, but snakes are known to be here. It's a very popular environment, especially in the summertime, sunning on the rocks. So now that we're here in November, although it's a warmer day, I think the likelihood of seeing a snake is very minuscule. Oh, look at someone flippy floppy. Summer. 2 to 3. What the hell shoe size is that? Is that for like a dwarf? It's a really small foot. Probably a child's flip flop there. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to going up there. It looks like a road right there. It's plateaued, flat, open. I think I may have found a spring of sorts. There's water coming out from under the ground here. Underneath that grass, it's seeping out, coming down. So it must be an underground source somewhere, which is typical with a lot of places like this. I've seen multiple underground springs. And as we look over here, the formation on these rocks from the water, really neat looking. I'm not sure how good it's coming through on camera, but it's like almost like puzzle pieces, and it forms that little trough right there. Quite a nice sight. Somebody spray painted Aoka a long time ago. We are near Aoka, but this is still technically music. A lot of leaves here. Someone's firing as well. Big rock face right there. If you were to climb up on top and keep going, you would reach the airport. There's a lot of new trees here. There's not a lot of huge old trees, which means this area was bare for a long time. Most of these trees look less than maybe 30 years old. Oh, we've got a big undercut area here and some collapse. There's a concrete pad. I'm just thinking if that was maybe a building foundation or something, but laying in the water is the section of wall that fell in. Water's getting behind it now and eroding it and undermining it. So over time, that could potentially collapse and fall down. Now we do have another stream source coming down. So this water may be getting diverted upstream and making its way through here. This could be another underground spring source. It's a unique landscape though. You can tell this area does get underwater. All these rocks are nice and smooth. And here's some more orange. Must be some iron mixed into the stones, and it just turns into rust. This water is so clear. Huh. So what I'm wondering and what I'm thinking is that this water source may possibly go under the turnpike. There may or may not be a culvert further up. I didn't think that it came so close, paralleling the turnpike there. I'm gonna go just a little bit further up and see what it looks like. There may or may not be a culvert, or I just could be completely off on where the water is coming from, but let me do a little bit of searching and we'll see what we come up with. Landscape's changed a bit. Down there I was running out of shoreline, so I was forced to come up here, and it's like a rock field. A lot of big boulders here, which puts us in a good spot because on the way back this should take us directly to the train bridge. But up ahead, I think, is what I was suspecting is up there. I think I'm running out of room here too. The land is pinching out. I think I may be forced to go down along the water again. Okay, actually I don't even need to continue. So what I thought initially was a culvert up ahead is nothing more than just a bridge. I can see through the trees. I'll try to snap a photo or two. That is just a tall bridge of the turnpike. The water is going underneath it, so it's not a culvert tunnel, nothing to explore. It's just an open bridge with columns, so it's not even worth going any further, at least today. So, answer my question, the water does go under the turnpike, just not in any extraordinarily fascinating way. On my way back to the train bridge, so I'll see you when we arrive there. And just like that, we're back here. As I mentioned, it appears to be an old road of sorts, and that's what it resembles now they're up here on it. You can see too, a little tiny bridge right there, then the longer span. And this, I believe, would be a girder bridge, if I'm not mistaken. As promised, here's a topside view. We are now up here where the bridge is, and as I explained earlier, this bridge is only used for a switch. The switch is right there. So what happens is the train would come on the lower track, and you can actually see the difference in grade too. It's actually a pretty significant grade, almost like a switchback. Anyways, the train, these tracks go to Pittston and then point south. But the train would come up in this direction and then come onto this, which is more or less like a siding, I guess, or a spur, just far enough to clear the switch, and then they would continue on the upper track, which takes them to different businesses up in that direction, one of which actually goes over the turnpike towards the industrial park in Jenkins Township, I believe. There's a few businesses that are still serviced by rail out there, but these are not used often, maybe once or twice a month, if that. But I did want to give you a quick view from the top, from where people do jump from, because you got to be confident in your skills and your abilities to not mess that up, because If you're off by just a few inches, you're either going to have a broken bone or a loss of life. This one has no sides at all, so it's completely open and exposed. Strapping right here on the ties, the main rails, the derail preventer, catcher in the middle there. I don't know I could go much further. I'm actually getting kind of scared. So looking off, the waterfall's right down there. Oh boy. What did I get myself into? It's bringing me back to the days of the old abandoned train trestle that I crossed to face my fears, but this one, ties are a bit further apart here. I can't even get over there. I just take my word for it. I can't do it. I gotta get back. Yep, those fears came right back. They're still there. I could cross it if I had to, but there's no way I could go near the edge. Another thing to point out, which does confirm what I said earlier, is that there was a second bridge here. Earlier I showed you the abutment, which has the space there. Well, right here is where the rest of it would have went. So, definitely big enough. I'm actually going to get out there and show you. So I'm essentially walking on the other bridge support pillar. Hopefully it's still strong. You can see the lower lip right there. That's where the beams would have sat on. And then tracks would have came across the top. So this is the very edge of it. I believe right here is where the other bridge would have been. So double bridge at one time for the Erie Railroad. Now if you would like to see what this section of rails is like walking from that direction towards here, I will link my part 4 video of the Erie Railroad where we basically stop just back there by that bridge. And whoever graffitied that back in the day, unless they did it from topside leaning over, they must have a U-Haul to carry their nuts around to be that brave. I couldn't imagine being out there on that. Oh, get just the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. Clouds are still hanging around. Sun's not coming through as I was hoping it would. And there's a breeze picking up a bit stronger now. If you can't tell, we are back where we started. And that means we have one thing left to do, and that is to get a glimpse beneath the surface. Since the sun isn't out, it's not going to be as bright and visible and vibrant as I was hoping. But since we're here, we're going to make do and give it a shot anyway. So if you're ready, we're going to get wet. Oh, looks like someone's trying to come home with me. A little inchworm. You gotta stay here, buddy. This is your home. First things first, that water is freaking scary. I'm not sure if it came through on camera. I think it did. There was points though where it was shaking and wobbling. That's because you guys are on my 7-foot selfie stick here, my extendable pole, and there was points in these rapids and bubbles where it was actually sucking the pole down. I was holding on, it was like a death grip, and it was just trying to rip it away out of my hands, and it just caused it to shake and wobble. That water is scary, and if you fell in there and were an experienced swimmer, you could certainly be in a boatload of trouble. If you jump in, you gotta hope that you can swim away from it, because it's almost like a swirling washing machine. It just wants to keep you there and suck you down. The other thing too is I was showing some edging of the rock face here, and there was, I think, 1 or 2 points where I pointed the camera straight down and reached down as far as I could. So I was down nearly 6.5 feet on that stick and wasn't touching bottom, which means this is at least 10 feet deep, if not deeper. I don't know how deep it is by the rapids there, by the falls, but directly right here is over 7 feet deep. And I look back at the footage, I think we saw some fish down there too. The water is really clear. If we had sun shining through, it would be 10 times better. But yeah, that is a scary pocket of water. If I was to come here snorkeling, I have no problem being down here where it's calmer. And it's still pretty deep there, probably 4 to 6 feet deep. But here, that's scary. I think we covered all of our bases here today. We learned why the police shut this area down, how it became from a local swimming hole to becoming overrun with out-of-towners, police being called here. And on top of that, we learned that upstream, although it's nothing spectacular, it just snakes its way up under the turnpike, eventually reaches the reservoirs, and we know that this is clean, good water coming down. For me, my favorite area is the train bridge, knowing that this was part of the Erie Railroad. It's pretty awesome, and to see below it and above it, it's even cooler. And that's still used today in some capacity. Not a main thoroughfare of rail activity, but for siding switching, it is active a couple times a month. But I came the right time of year. There's no one here. I had the place to myself, and I truly got to experience all this place has to offer. For me, it is, as I said, rather fascinating because it's surrounded by so much. We got the airport over there, turnpike over there, homes and businesses, so it's just a little quiet, beautiful, peaceful area surrounded by so much activity. If you did enjoy any part of this video, the best way to show your support is by giving a thumbs up. It's free and only takes a second. And if you are new to the channel, don't be a stranger. Come back, see what I'm putting up at least 2 times a week, and including some shorts videos mixed in between. Otherwise, I want to thank you for coming along for today's adventure. And like I sometimes ask, if you did watch to the end, please comment. This time not with a blue heart, but with a smiley face. It lets me know that you watched to the end and that you did see everything that this video had to offer. So thank you once again, and like always, I'll see you in the next video.